And Mike Nathan made a very interesting remark during the interview. He said, about a year and a half ago, I realized that the world was completely changing. And the only way that I was going to be relevant at scale was I had to share, I had to be a thought leader in my space. And I needed to do that through different social media platforms.
Welcome to the Content Crib podcast. We think we're on episode 19 or 18. We don't know, but that's we had to take a little break because of the actual Content Crib in Bentonville. So I think our heads are still spinning from that event. What a good time, huh?
Man, it was a great time. It was our biggest one yet. I like to say we had 65, but I think we had more than that. I think we had it was a packed house and lots of new faces, which was great. I mean, that was exciting. A lot of new people. Obviously, a lot of our usual people who come to quite a few Content Cribs, repeat customers, repeat friends. So it was a lot of fun. We had something new this time. We had organizations that sponsored the Content Crib, which was really cool. Exit 156 Capital out of Minnesota, and then there you got the Yeti. Look at, if you're only listening, Chris is showing everybody his very cool Yeti 156 cup that he has. Also Impero Ventures, which is something that Mike Nathan, it's one of his organizations. But I thought it was great, man. It was I thought what they lent to the whole Content Crib meeting was their belief in what we can all do together. And what I mean by that is they brought every single one of their portfolio companies. They brought all of their CEOs, upper level management of each one of those organizations. And it was impressive, man. The companies that they brought along, that, anywhere from a device that reading someone's breath in order to find out if they have sepsis. I mean, it could be life-changing technology that they've invested in and they're bringing to the marketplace, as well as others as well. And Josh Robinson, Mike Nathan, the whole group that was there, they're the managing partners of Exit 156, but they have a really interesting niche in the respect that they focus on startup healthcare companies that are not, 10 or 20 million, but they're smaller or pre-revenue type opportunities. And I don't know, man, it was cool. I really enjoyed talking to everybody from those organizations, and they came to Content Crib because they wanted to be able to share their message and share their thought leadership within the marketplace. So what'd you think?
Yeah, no, I thought it was super fun. The companies and the CEOs that they brought, like you mentioned, and how kind of nervous a couple of them were at the beginning. They're like, I don't know what I've got myself into with this, what this like voodoo magic is. And then, they were just kind of nervous talking when I started to like introduce myself in the beginning, which is, it's not unusual. You're in a big group of people and a lot of people know each other, right? It's kind of like a family reunion and you don't really know anybody, or like a high school reunion kind of thing going on. But, yeah, but as soon as they all jumped in like full into the deep end of the pool and like got to work with the rest of us on everything that we kind of all the exercises we did. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I didn't want to lose track of just talking about Exit 156 and the people they brought and why they're such a perfect fit as a sponsor, because they're like not even really a sponsor because they're friends of ours, partners in business, partners in and everything, we do, they do. It's just a, endless collaboration of building, right? And they're builders. They get the spirit of the crib. It's about creating, experimenting, and backing people who are trying something new. And it was just a natural alignment. And they added credibility, right? They have as a sponsor who actually invests in the innovation we talk about, just made the room feel even more serious. Like, the CEOs they brought and the owners of these companies are they're a big deal. They're saving, as you said, millions of lives potentially. We could look back on this a few years from now and say, we were in the room with them. And I think that's pretty cool. And, what Exit 156 and what people should really know, kind of what they do is not only do they help existing companies from the venture capitalist point of view, but they're a partner and how they can turn any idea into reality, right? Whether, anything from health and wellness to, I think they have some beverage projects they're working on. And, when people see what it looks like when a real company believes in what we believe in, that's kind of the grassroots brand building. And, that external validation matters and people can see that. And it was contagious.
It really was. That's a great word for it, contagious. Because, having Josh Robinson and Mike Nathan there, ultra successful guys. I mean, literally, Mike Nathan, 1 week before Content Crib, exited a company, is an 8-figure exit. So if you want to learn how to do it the right way, if you want to learn how he did it all the wrong ways he did it, he'll tell you that too. And he's going to be launching something called Imperil Ventures, where he's going to coach early stage founders and early, entrepreneurs and enable them to, take their idea from just being an idea to fruition, which is really cool. And so, bringing all that back to Content Crib, both Mike Nathan and Josh Robinson, repeatedly I see them on LinkedIn, and they were really bought in on the use of thought leadership in order to have others understand their message and understand why they do what they do, and of that nature. And it's just really cool to see it all come together, because as they kind of did their interview with us, they talked about what they look for, why they look for, what's then, and all these different aspects of their business. And it was great. And, they practice what they preach. I see Josh Robinson and Mike Nathan on LinkedIn all the time. I see Mike Nathan out on Instagram and, several different platforms that they're going to. And Mike Nathan made a very interesting remark during the interview. He said, about a year and a half ago, I realized that the world was completely changing. And the only way that I was going to be relevant at scale was I had to share, I had to be a thought leader in my space. And I needed to do that through different social media platforms. And that's what he did. And the rest is history. I mean, he's a walking example of success in a Content Crib alum. He had been a Content Crib before. So it was exciting. So anyway, I don't want to make this sound like the Exit 156 commercial, but it was just really a really cool meeting. It was a fantastic way to kind of share what they do with the entire group. And hey, as we say at every single Content Crib, look to your left, look to your right. You're going to go into business with someone or they're going to help you in your business, or you're going to help them in their business. So, and it comes true every single meeting.
Yeah. And I think Content Crib is such a funny name for what it is. Cause it's a power networking, power mastermind / meets purpose finding / entrepreneurial / personal development and marketing and finding your voice. Like it just, it's not solely focused on creating content, right? It's so interesting because the biggest breakthroughs, and I want your opinion on kind of your biggest breakthrough aha moment that you saw, maybe from some people or just what you witnessed overall, but it's more that they haven't really been told how to explain what they do and why they do it. And a lot of us go through several decades of our life trying to figure that out. And most people that are coming to this event, which is, by the way, so friggin' fun. I have like the most amount of fun. Obviously, we're biased, but what a fun weekend. It's just so uplifting. But besides that, it's amazing to see the power of people shifting into really what they want to bring to the world, business wise or purpose wise. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I want to just kind of get your kind of opinion. What are your biggest kind of breakthrough aha moment from what you saw at 5.0?
Well, it's funny. So after 5.0, we kind of have our meeting that we convene afterwards. And of course, it usually involves pizza, non-alcoholic beer, cigars, something of that nature, or wild and crazy. But, we talked about, should we change the name of the meeting? I don't know if you remember that. Like,
Yeah, I do.
we were like, should we, because we don't want it to say content. It's not all about content. And we all just came to the, we're like, that's the name of the meeting. It is Content Crib. Maybe one day we'll change it, but it's really becoming less and less about content. So my big aha moment was just the diversity of who was in the crowd. I say this every meeting, but this one just really struck me. I mean, this time around, we not only had orthopedic surgeons, we had interventional pain, we had spine surgeons, we had founders, we had entrepreneurs, we had professional salespeople, we had entrepreneurs that owned clinics, we had venture capital people in the room, we had I just thought about this before we got on the podcast. The amount of people that we had in that room.
Two Navy SEALs. Somehow we had two Navy SEAls.
Two Navy SEAls. I did. I said when Scott walked in, I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you're a SEAL." I go, "Here's another guy who liked to drown himself on purpose." And so, they did some secret handshake, and then all I know is that they were, they spoke another language, and the rest was history. But yeah, two Navy SEAls. Not to mention how many. That's the other really weird thing. How many military academy graduates we have to come to Content Crib?
Doesn't it make you feel like pretty unaccomplished?
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly. Like, getting up for early in college for me was just getting up at all that day. But exactly. So anyway, yeah, it's pretty impressive people all in the same room. But my biggest takeaway from the weekend was just how nobody's bigger than anybody else. Nobody's bigger than anybody else. Let me tell you, they could absolutely. There's some people in that room with credentials that you kind of go, wow, okay. And if you're a little arrogant, I get it. You that's probably goes with the territory. There's none of that there. So not a bit. And it's like, so we're, with 6.0, we are 100% invite only again. We've already started having some signups happen. We're going to try to get everything. We're going to try to get it filled by November 1st is the plan or at least invitations out to alumni of past Content Cribs, which now there are hundreds, which is wild. But there are hundreds of people now. We're going to invite them and we're just going to do the invite only because, to be perfectly honest, we want to keep that same kind of type. I hate the word culture, but same type of just understanding amongst everybody that
we're a big family. No, kidding.
Yeah, I know exactly. Feel it's like I started NFL team here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's that's my big. That was my big takeaway from 5.0. Just how everybody had the same mission, and there was not a sliver of arrogance in the room whatsoever.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I love that about the room, and it's because it is so many different personalities, but people are so humble to share, help, and it's really cool. But when you said that when we were talking about changing the name at the actual Content Crib, which is the house that we rented across from the Ledger, which that was such a cool spot, an old doctor's house with a nice patio. That was an awesome spot. Nice job picking that out. But it started to make me think as you were talking about that. Content Crib is probably the best name because it's so foundational. What we do is so foundational to build people to create the content in the right way, right? So, it's obvious. These things are obvious, I guess, but it is true, right? Building this foundation by, understanding how to craft your voice and go through all these exercises and learn from other people and then watch, the alumni in the room that are helping some of the newbies, or not even newbies, some of the other alumni that are ready to take that next step forward and, craft and hit posts. So it's pretty cool, and then there's a big faction in the room that are there just for the networking, and that's fine too. And some of them you start to be inspired to create content too, or up their commenting, or start to utilize video a little bit more. So, for my biggest kind of breakthrough moment, aha moment, is just seeing how fast people shifted from consuming, us at the front of the room, talking, and then right into creating and getting to work, right? At these things, you always, whether you're at a corporate meeting or, something like what we do, which is very anti-corporate, right? People are attending this, more than 75% on their own dime. Some companies are smart enough to sponsor people that come to these things. Very rare, right? So it's, at the start of the day, you always have these kind of hesitations, folks worried about, speaking up, or, if they have the right angle. But within an hour, people were producing content, sharing drafts, giving feedback, going around, helping each other, getting stuck and talking through it. And the moment where the theory turned into action kind of showed me that, the formula that we built over time, if you create the right environment and people unlock what's already inside them, and it's just such a breakthrough. And I, remember seeing, Tony, who was at our, a long time alum and friends of ours, and then did our Content Crib RX cohort. He had the biggest breakthrough of the weekend. He's a vet. So that was cool. Then he was helping others too. So I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what's really cool too. The other takeaway is how, multiple, I mean, we literally have attendees that have been to every single Content Crib now that not necessarily 1.0, because that was a ragtag group of people who was actually, no, I think Lindsay was at Content Crib 1, and he came something like 11 o'clock at night. But, we've got so many, so those people are now helping others in the room. And that's really cool. And there's, I won't mention names on the stuff, but there's some people also that were going through some things, like they, had some tough situations that are going on, and there are people jumping in like, well, wait a minute, I'm going to introduce you to this, and I'm going to introduce you to this person. And, I know they're looking for somebody to do this. And I know they're, that was just pretty, I don't know. It's kind of makes you go, I'm part of something really cool. And that's it's inspiring for sure.
Yeah, it's a big mindset shift when you see it happen. And I really noticed the shift around perfectionism, right? People walk in and they think they need to have everything dialed in and their strategy airtight before they start to create. But, there's a collective understanding just overall of momentum beats perfection, right? People understanding that, pen to paper consistency builds I think that clarity, right? The clarity and to understand what's going to move the needle for the people that they're trying to connect with. And that was really cool. And I wanted to see what you thought, which exercise that we did sparked the most breakthroughs that we did this past weekend.
Wow, that's a great question. That talking logo, I'm not going to say that's it.
Hey, you stole
it. It's
every time.
It's always that's it, because we have people who go, I've done this exercise now every time I come to Content Crib, and it's different. Every time I come, it's different. So it really works out well that we do it. And it's hard for some people to describe. Okay, we want you to tell us what you do. Well, I am an entrepreneur who focus. No, you need to tell the world, what do you do? And we action verb and talk about how to accomplish that. But, yeah, it's always interesting to me. We do that first, and it always is something that somebody gets up and you're like, whoa, just knocks it out of the park. And, I remember when Blake got up, and I will never forget Formerly Fit Fathers.
That's stuck in my brain.
That right there.
Is close.
Quote unquote, Formerly Fit Fathers. I'm like, oh, so you mean all the fat guys in the room? I gotcha. I like it. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Well, how about for you?
Yeah, you stole mine. I mean, talking logo, but we can talk about, any of them. I think I think the brand DNA was super challenging. I even had a hard time with that one because I hadn't broken down. I'll tell you why I had a hard time, because each of us kind of wears a different hat in our life, and we have a talking logo for every hat we wear. And I'm not just talking about jobs, right? It's like we have talking logos for who we are, for our family and our relationships too, right? So people that are understanding that they have different talking logos and they're developing them, or the talking logos where there's different audiences within the segment that they're speaking to, and that they need to develop those as well. And then maybe they go back and then fix their talking logo to be able to speak to all the segments. So, which only is going to help create, because everything starts there, right? Everything from how your outreach is to your ideal clients, or your content that you're creating, right? That needs to, it has to be there. If it's not there, people are going to have a hard time understanding, who you are and what you have to say. And I fall in that trap. I'm not perfect by any means, because I have a lot to say and I have a lot of people that I'm trying to talk to. And recently I've tried to take a step back and really focus on, one or two particular audiences based on, where my, full commitments are. But, at times I do kind of, spread it out a little bit, because I know that, a big thing for, mindset's a big topic for me. I like to talk about, and, doctors and clinic owners struggle with that as well. And also so do salespeople, marketers, right? And everybody does. So it can be a little overwhelming to understand exactly who you want to speak to. But in terms of capturing your ideal clients into your funnel of content, and then supporting your ideal clients by commenting, engaging on their content, that definitely needs to be dialed in, 50 to 60% of the time that you are trying to build a, brand funnel on social media, especially the one we talk about the most being, LinkedIn, where we're at the most.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. And I think a lot of the I know that I know we had a lot of breakthroughs, because a lot of the new people that came are already signing up to come to 6.0 in 6 months. So they obviously got what we wanted them to get out of it. And again, not going to out exactly all who was in the room, but some pretty impressive people who have decided, you know what, I'm going to come back to 6.0 and learn what I can learn. So it was a great time in Bentonville, and we're going to be right back in Bentonville March 20th and 21st. Invites have gone out to alumni of Content Crib and those people that we want to invite. And then after November 1st, we'll see where we are and go from there.
Yeah, I want to, before we wrap up this episode, maybe a couple more minutes on what's on the horizon for 6.0, because I had some thoughts and wanted to run them by you.
Yeah, please go. Shoot.
Yeah, so I think doubling down and where we're going and how this is all evolving, I think a really cool way we could take this, and we're still in development stages, right? You, Matthew, and I were talking about this, I think it was last night, actually, kind of where we're going to take this. You came up with some awesome ideas and, sparked me to come up with these ideas, which are very similar to what you said, but doubling down on, I think, live creation, right? More standing, more filming, more posting, refining in real time. And that could be, everyone giving feedback in the room on content that we're creating live in person, creating videos, learning how to create reels and all that. I think would be a really cool way to take this.
100%, man. You've read my mind. I think that we need to look at the, video is where it's all going. We can all agree on that, that and not AI goofy video. It's like, although AI video is getting a lot better, but real, genuine video, real, genuine thought leadership. Hey, I'm walking through the airport and I've got an idea and I want to share it with everybody right now. Boop. And away you go. Those that start mastering that, those that start really are able to share at a larger volume are the ones who are really going to accelerate where they want to go.
Yeah, and I think it would be really cool to kind of continue bringing into the room people from outside of the industry that have strong strategies, have a dialed in voice that can share how niche down they are and how they can do it too. It doesn't have to be healthcare. It can be completely, outside of the realm. We have a few of those come by, but I think that would be a good idea too. And if someone's on the fence about coming in to 6.0 and what they'll miss, to me, when I get that question asked, because I do get that question, is like, why should I come to this? What am I going to miss if I don't come to this? And I always just tell them, you're going to miss the momentum of where you want to go and how you want to craft your future, right? And they can do that in their own time, and they could join other. But I think what we really do is we do it as a group. There's accountability, there's live feedback, and a sense of community that I think is hard to find. It just can't really be replicated. And I don't know of any other group. There's not many other groups out there that do it, I think, in the way that we do it, which I think is just awesome. So I think you're missing that spark that pushes you to actually do the thing that maybe you've been putting off.
Yeah. And I think I really can't say it any better. I mean, what it is it's a judgment-free zone and people there to help. And so that's a very different thought process that people have where, oh no, they're going to be critiquing me on what I'm doing. No, it's the exact opposite. They're going to be jumping in with you and locking arms and going, hey, let's do this together. Let's figure it out. And we're all going to be better together.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that wraps up another episode.
That's another episode in the books. And I realized as I was talking, like, by October 31st, this is going to be out after that. So if you do hear this episode and you're interested in Content Crib 6.0, if we have spots open, DM myself or Chris on LinkedIn and we'll get it figured out.
Exactly. Sounds good. See you guys. See you, Eric.